Elvis Presley died the undisputed king of rock and roll, with no apparent heirs to ascend the throne. In 1961, Elvis had an affair with a showgirl who bore him an illegitimate son, then had to give him up for adoption to avoid a scandal. After years of searching for his identity, Elvis Presley Jr. has surfaced to take his place and return to Hawaii to walk in his father's footsteps.
The king is dead. Long live the king. This familiar mantra has taken on a whole new meaning with his surprise arrival today on the scene of Elvis Aaron Presley Jr., son of the king of rock and roll. I'm Rebecca May, reporting from Impact News in Las Vegas. You may have seen him on the news or featured on him caught up with Elvis Jr. in Hawaii as he retraced his famous father's footsteps. Elvis was greeted at the airport by Hawaii's beauty queen, Le'ui Alani, and her entourage. His friendly nature was demonstrated during an impromptu show for the surprised airport crowd. Upon his arrival at the Hawaiian Village Hotel, Elvis revealed a little bit of his past to Le'ui.
I used to own a Black Panther. I used to train exotic cats, jaguars, panthers, lions, tigers. And my panther lived to 20 years old.
Elvis, thank you for inviting us to your suite. Aloha.
Yeah. Aloha from Hawaii, from the Hilton Hawaiian Village. Hello, everybody. My name is Elvis Aaron Presley Jr.
Is it true that you're the son of the king?
Yes, I am the son of the king of rock and roll.
Has your claim been legally documented?
I have been through many documentations, and I have been on a lot of television shows and made a lot of appearances in newspapers and radio. And my claim to Elvis Presley is official. I am for real. My federal documentation has been proven to the federal courts. Of course, here's my passport. It's a proven fact.
How could this have been kept a secret for so long? What about your birth mother?
I'll take you back from the very beginning. In 1961, my father had an affair with a wonderful and beautiful showgirl and actress. She appeared in many movies, did a lot of walk-ons, did stage and theatrical shows. I was born out of wedlock, and in pursuit to save his career, everything was hushed up, and I was given at birth to a very, very special couple that raised me. Adopted. I didn't know that till I was 21 years old. And when I found out I was adopted, I pursued to find out who my real parents were.
We understand that you're here in Hawaii to retrace some of your famous father's footsteps. Thanks for letting us come along. We understand that you have some famous memorabilia from your father's days of filming in Hawaii.
What I have done is brought together all of the Hawaiian artifacts that I could gather up. Very special ones. We'll start off with the movie from Blue Hawaii, 1961. This very watch was worn by Elvis himself in the movie Blue Hawaii. You know, it's kind of special because it's valued over $100,000 right now. And one of the reasons why, well, it's not only a classic Hamilton made in 1959 or the first electric watch made in the United States of America, but during filming, Elvis wore this watch. Back in those days, they had to have a special release and permission to wear anything, or they would be supplied with a watch and jewelry and clothing that they wore in the movie sets. In the middle of the shoot, Colonel Tom Parker's manager stopped over and says, Hal Wallace, who was the producer, he said, Hal Wallace, he says, you got to stop this whole shoot, he said. Hal Wallace said, why? He says, well, he says, there's a clause in the contract that you got to supply all the jewelry and costumes and everything to Elvis. And there's one thing that you haven't supplied him, and that is his very own watch. And the colonel says, you know, just because of that, he says, you can either start shooting the whole thing all over again or pay me $100,000 for Elvis wearing his own watch.
So what did Hal Wallace do?
Well, significantly, Hal Wallace did pay the $100,000. And here's the watch.
That's a great story, Elvis. What else do you have here?
We also have a pair of his sunglasses that he wore throughout many of his concerts. It's called a Grand Prix style sunglass. Very, very special, and Elvis's trademark. We also brought in a very special belt over here. This is the belt that was worn with the Eagle costume. And this belt was thrown out into the audience on his final performance, and a very lucky fan here in Hawaii was able to receive this belt. Imagine having a belt that weighs over 30 pounds thrown at you. Well, I'll tell you one thing. This belt was auctioned off in 1980, and it's now part of my very, very precious collection. Not only do I have his belt, but I have some of the very special scarves. Here's a scarf that was worn by himself in the concert and given to a very special Hawaiian fan. Believe it or not, the makeup is still on here. I find this very interesting. We also have a photograph of him wearing that scarf right before he gave that out. As you can see here, he's singing and he's thinking, and I'm sure some of the makeup just was dripping off onto that very scarf. Another very famous item was, of course, we're in Hawaii, and the Hawaii 5-0 badge that was given to Elvis by actor Jack Lord, who portrayed Steve McGarrett for Hawaii 5-0. Elvis had a great liking to collecting sheriff badges and police badges and was always on the side of the law. Not only given by many officials in the business, but also given a very special badge by President Nixon. This badge itself over here represents the state of Hawaii as an investigator of the Hawaii 5-0 unit.
Among the things that you've brought along, is there anything very special to you personally?
From all the artifacts from Hawaii, one of the pieces that remains very, very precious is a hat that Elvis Sr. wore on his final vacation to Hawaii. It's only a terry cloth hat that went for a mere $5,000 on the auction block. But this hat itself was worn by him here, not only in this very atmospheric place, but by the swimming pool here at the Hilton Hotel, 3 months prior to his death, March of 1977. I would like to show you another photograph. And this is a photograph of him wearing that very hat.
Thank you, Elvis, for sharing those special mementos.